What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know about cold email deliverability in 2025. My name's Felix. I'm co-founder here at StackOptimise. We're a GTM engineering agency sending more than 1 million emails every single month on behalf of some of the world's biggest and best B2B businesses. So without further ado, let's jump into it. First and foremost, what is email deliverability and why do you need to care about it? Email deliverability is simply referring to the process of landing your emails in the primary inbox of the recipients rather than their spam folder. The reason why this is obviously important is because if the people that you're sending emails to never actually read the emails, then obviously you're not going to get any replies, any leads, or any meetings. Now, why do we need to care about it? Because anytime we start sending cold email at scale, we're going to run into deliverability challenges. The reason being is that the email service providers have a responsibility to their users to control the level of spam that their users are receiving. So they have practices and protocols in place to prevent mass senders, mass volume senders, mass spammers. And we need to know what the best practices are, essentially, to get around these rules. And there are two core components of deliverability: copy and infrastructure. So we need to make sure we've optimized everything on the copy side of things and everything on the infrastructure side of things in order to maximize our deliverability. So starting with cold email copy and thinking about copy from a deliverability perspective. So we've outlined a number of best practices here, some of which have been common and well known for some time now. If you are new to the space, then hopefully you will still find this valuable. But there's also going to be some nuggets in here that are more kind of recent developments. So first step, plain text only. We want to avoid adding links, adding attachments, any HTML in our email. We want to remove all of this and only send in plain text. That said, this is definitely one of those rules that's not a hard and fast rule. For example, if we include a link in our email or we include an image in our email and it reduces deliverability by 10%, but it increases the reply rate by 30%, meaning there are more replies overall, then in that instance for that campaign, we're going to keep the link and we're going to keep the image in there. So it's not like just including an image or including a link is going to send your deliverability to zero. It's likely going to have a marginal impact where there's going to be a reduction in emails landing the primary. But if that reduction is offset by an increase, a greater increase in replies, then we're going to include the link or the image inside our email. And this is one of those things that you can only establish by A/B testing. So as a general rule, send in plain text. If you have a really good reason to include a link or an image, then stick it in there, test the campaign with it in there, and see how it performs. Tip number 2 is variability is everything. And this is becoming increasingly more important. And that is ensuring that your emails are as unique and different as possible. And what this means is if we have a list of 500 leads that we're sending an email to, if we send all 500 of those leads the exact same template, with the only difference being the person's first name, then it's pretty easy for the email service providers to cotton on to the fact that this is just an automated template that's going out to hundreds of prospects at a time. With 500, you'll probably be okay. But as soon as you start scaling that up to the thousands, you're going to run into some issues quite quickly. So what does this mean? It means we need to make as many of our emails as unique and differentiated from each other as possible. For a while, the industry has relied on spintax for email variability. If you don't know what spintax is a way of creating multiple different variations of a template by creating different versions of each sentence within the template. And if you're using a tool like SmartLead, it will basically randomly pick which version of each sentence to choose from, meaning ultimately all of your templates end up being slightly different variations of each other. If you need help with spintaxing, ChatGPT works a dream. Just enter your email, ask ChatGPT to spintax it, and you'll get a decent enough output. Again, the problem with this is, yes, while it still creates unique emails, over time, and if you're sending out volume, it's still pretty easy for the email service providers to deduce the fact that these are basically all of the same templates, just written in a slightly different way. So we are relying less and less on spintax and focusing more on fully AI-generated emails and prompting the AI in a way where it's going to spit out really unique emails that are all quite significantly different from each other, while still communicating the offer in the way that we're intending it to be communicated. So right now, we're creating pretty much 99% of our campaigns all inside of Clay. The entire emails of our sequences are generated by AI. And here's a pro tip that you can use if you are also doing this to add even more variation to your copy. And that is if you create a column inside of Clay to spit out the emails that you're trying to create. Once you have the column of emails, you can run those through a second AI enrichment, which is basically just set up in a way where it's like, I'm going to give you this email template. Your job is to rewrite it using completely different words, but keeping the structure and the offer of the email the same. And that way you get, again, all of your emails outputted in your Clay column, but there's just even more variation across all of your leads. So tip number 3 is reducing reply friction, making it really frictionless for your prospects to reply. And the reason why this is important is because it's going to boost your overall reply rate and therefore boost your sender reputation. So anytime you get a reply to any of your emails, this is just a slight indication to the email service providers that this is a legitimate inbox that's getting legitimate replies from individuals. So the more replies we get, the better our email health. And therefore, we should structure our copy in a way which is very conducive to this. So one of the things that we like to do with our campaigns is, especially when we're offering things like lead magnets, is just make it super easy for prospects to claim those lead magnets. So our CTA will be something like, just reply yes or just respond yes, and I'll send you the free resource, no strings attached. Tip number 4, more personalization equals more trust. Now, we see this time and time again across all of our campaigns and all of our clients. The more personalization we do, the deeper that personalization, the better our reply rate. Now, whether this is actually impacting deliverability or whether the reply rate is just increased because the emails are better, it's kind of impossible to tell. But one thing we do know now is that the email service provider AI filters are now just reading, they're scanning entire messages rather than looking out for like specific spam words. They're reading the entire message, taking the full context of the message, and then making a decision as to whether or not they're going to send this email to spam or they're going to send it to your primary inbox. We know tools like Mixmax are doing things like passing emails to the primary inbox if they believe there is some kind of warm connection there already. If it's like a warm intro or it's someone that this prospect already knows, we know that's part of their criteria for whether or not they basically block a cold email or not. So we know this is a consideration right now for cold email controllers. And so we want to make sure our emails are as personalized, as relevant to our prospects as possible, leveraging triggers that are so relevant, they sound and feel warm. These are all things that are only going to help in ensuring that you get through to your prospects' inbox. So that is a full summary of email deliverability on the copy side. Now moving on to infrastructure deliverability. Tip number 1 here is always have backup inboxes. For every StackOptimise client, we are spinning up 2x infrastructure, 1 active set of inboxes and 1 backup set of inboxes. We've seen it time and time again where we will burn through individual domains or we'll have entire fleets of inboxes just get canceled, just get nuked for a variety of different reasons. And so it's absolutely essential that we have at least 1 backup supply of inboxes. Tip number 2 here is to split our infrastructure across multiple providers. So this means 2 different things. It means we want to get inboxes from both Google and Microsoft. We might also consider getting SMTP inboxes as well, but also getting these inboxes across multiple resellers too. So right now, our setup is 75% Google inboxes and 25% Microsoft inboxes spread across premium inboxes and Zapmail. From a provider perspective, you might also consider only sending to certain providers. Right now, there are some people in this space only sending to Google because Outlook deliverability is quite a bit lower. That said, we are still able to deliver to Microsoft. It's just at a lower clip. So right now, we just send to everything. We don't take too much of this stuff into account. Certainly, it's something we're monitoring, and we will make changes if we need to. If you are an agency and you're working with a client that has a very large TAM, and the package that you've agreed with them is for you to send a relatively small number of emails, then certainly in that instance, it would be a good idea just to send to Google to maximize results. If you have like a small to medium-sized TAM, then just send to everything. In terms of inbox to domain ratio, right now we typically set up 3 inboxes per domain. You might want to set up 2 if you want to be extra cautious. I would say, again, this probably depends on the size of the infrastructure and the volume that you intend to send. If you intend to do very, very large volume, then 3 inboxes per domain is going to help you out from a cost perspective. If you only plan on spinning up 20 inboxes to begin with, then you might as well just get 2 per domain and take an extra cautionary step. In terms of volume limits, right now, we are sending 20 emails per inbox per day. If we don't run into any issues after 60 days, we might ramp this up to 25, 30. I wouldn't really recommend sending any more than 30 per day. Bounce rates, this is obviously well known. We want to keep our bounce rates below 3%. And in order to do that, we need to make sure all of our lead lists are validated. Right now, we are validating with Reune, and then we are validating catch-all emails with BounceBat. And tip number 6 here is warm up. With warm up, we want to warm up our domains now for at least 30 days. From our experience, 2 weeks just isn't enough anymore. And there's also been a new Google spam filter that's flagging emails from domains that are less than 30 days old. And we just don't really want to do anything that's going to trigger these spam alerts in any way, because anytime a spam alert pops up on the screen for a user, there's always a big button right next to the alert which says send this email to spam. And we don't want to make it any easier for our prospects to do that. So that's it, guys. That is the overview of email deliverability best practices in 2025. 2 things we need to optimize: the copy and the infrastructure. If you need a hand with your cold email infrastructure setup or for running your campaigns more broadly, you can book a demo through the link in the description below. Thanks a lot.